Hello, friends. How about a little Thursday? Hashtag Real Race Talk. It is the Revved Up Sports Show. Showtime, Bobby Chaffee and Rodney Rodriguez. All of you guys with us as we get ready for I guess it's another race weekend. I mean, we've got race weekend, but man, we're really kind of starting to get to the end right here, Bobby, which I think is big race season as we like to call it. But at the same time, kind of glad that the weekly stuff is coming to an end.
Yeah, but the big shows are now few and far between, really.
Yeah.
We got a couple of breaks, a lot of them scheduled on top of each other this year, but for the most part, you just basically got a couple of bigger ones coming. We got a lot of the local stuff done, so everybody take about a week off, and then boom, next thing you know, those just start stacking on top of each other week after week after week till the end of to the end of the beginning of December.
Yeah, that really is a thing where there are some weekends where you've got I mean multiple action that's going on, and then you have a couple of weekends in there where there's nothing. So again, that comes back to some of the schedule stuff that we talk about, to where I mean it gets really hard. Decisions have to be made. I mean, I totally get all that, but yeah, we're definitely at that point, and it's coming down to it. I mean, these are really big money shows, and I think this is really when you get the gloves come off, and it gets a little heated. It gets a little heated, and things get just a little controversial sometimes with some of these big shows.
I think so. I mean, that's when you see, the deal is though is that there's big shows throughout the year, right? You have them scheduled a couple of times here and there, and then you see some of the gloves come off at some of those bigger shows there. But then these end of the year shows, it's kind of like you've had all season to think about what you want to do to the guy that did you wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so now it's like, now you got one last chance to try to come through and mess that guy's world up, knock him out of the way, kick his ass, so to speak. So I think it all just comes down to what's going to happen those last couple of races. And sometimes we've seen nothing happen, and then we've seen lots of stuff happen. So kind of just varies by the year. I mean, what's up this weekend? The Fall Classic there at Heart of Texas. That's the big one that everybody's looking forward to.
Yeah, you got the Fall Classic, of course, and you've got a regular show in Corpus, kind of a rescheduled championship night that's going to happen there, and that is the thing with the Fall Classic, because that will be the big one. I think where you'll get a lot of folks that'll attempt to make that one. So and I'll tell you, for the Fall Classic, it looks really good there, in the sense that I know a lot of times they get bit by weather. But that's not going to be an issue this time. They're going to be totally fine. There's no rain forecasted here for the next, 8 to 10 days. So I think they're going to be totally fine. So I think they'll get a strong show in, a good way to finish out there another good season at Heart of Texas. With Corpus, I mean that'll be a big deal. And then on the asphalt side, you've got the World Crown 300 happening over at Cordele, and that's actually a smaller field if you look at that, and that's something that we can touch on at some point. But you got the All-American next week as well, so it's this is where you start stacking these, and of course Snowball will be coming up, because man, we're November next week, so it's time for that as well. So these things are going to happen really fast, and you have to decide, because Lord knows it's not cheap to do. Either surface is not cheap to do these events.
Yeah, I mean, racing's expensive no matter where you go. Whether it's an expensive hobby, just like guys that have $1,000 fishing reels and fishing rods and stuff like that. But racing is probably, I think that all in all, I would say racing is the most expensive hobby there is. I mean, you get guys with expensive golf clubs and expensive golf carts and stuff, when the hunters buy lots of guns and stuff like that. But when it comes to high dollar hobbies, I think that racing has it really set up and ready to roll to be the high dollarist of the hobbies.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And this is when we see them, because you get and I'll tell you what is actually cool about this. I mean, there's a lot of things that's cool about this time of year, but this is actually where you will see drivers that maybe have been limited in what they've done, throughout the season, or have just run select events. This is when you start to see them come to the forefront a little bit, to where maybe they've budgeted for this. I mean, we've talked to people on this program before, to where it's like, once I get to the end of the year, I mean, those are the races that I want to run. So this is where we see, and the other part of that is, this is where you get guys on asphalt and dirt, where you get a driver in a select division or class where they may make a jump to a different one and try to do different things. So that's really the intriguing stuff about this. But the factory stock shows are going to be massive. I think that the Corpus race in November, although the big factory stock show for them is in December, the Outlaw 34. But I think that Corpus is probably going to have a couple of pretty good shows once you get past this final regular race event.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think the schedule lined up really nice towards the end of the season. It's kind of funny. We had so many rainouts in the middle part to beginning of the season. Now we're begging for rain now on every day except for race day. But it's kind of like, I think that I was watching the news beforehand. They said this is the third driest September and October combined weather forecast for as long as they've been keeping rain records there in Austin. So we hurting for a little bit of rain. Just hope the fire danger doesn't take over like it does normally. But I don't know. They said it's supposed to rain on Halloween, so we'll see what happens on that deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's really dry around here. I mean, it's slim pickings when it comes to that stuff, and you don't really realize that around here until you take a drive out towards the lakes. And when you start seeing those, what do they call them, invisible islands that are visible again, that's when you really start to notice how I mean it has, man. It's just been a lack of precipitation and the heat. I mean, we had a little bit of relief, I think, last week with a little bit of the cool. I mean, the mornings they don't feel good anymore. I mean, hell, they feel hot again. They're humid just like they were, 2 weeks ago. So I think that little bit of relief that we had is gone. And I mean, I don't want anybody to get rained out anywhere around here, but damn, we need a little relief. Need a little relief around here.
Yeah, definitely need to fill up them stock ponds and them dirt tracks. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. And it gets even harder. I mean, with track prep for them. I mean, trying to keep those tracks to where you don't have a dust storm and you don't have all of that going. I mean, when you don't have any help from Mother Nature, I mean, trust me, I don't know anything about track prep, but when you start seeing that right there, I mean, when these tracks get all hard and you get to cracks and all this shit in there because of the lack of water in there, I mean, it gets really hard to keep them moist. Use that word on here to keep them moist and shit. It is. I mean, it's just more water, more bills, more money for the racetracks to spend.
That's right. More money for the racetracks to spend. If you want to know how much it costs, ask somebody, ask the promoter, and they'll tell you. It is not cheap running a racetrack. That's why every wristband counts. That's why every car counts. That's why every butt in the front gate counts. I mean, that's why it all matters. It's all real important when it comes to the ecosystem of racetracks, because it ain't cheap, and we know that for sure.
Speaking of that, I saw something. We've talked about it a lot. I mean, it's like I see stuff on different pages, on different posts and stuff, and it's like we talked about that a year ago or whatever the case. But I saw, and it's something that we can kind of delve into just a little bit, see where we may be thinking with this right now. To where I saw one of the national outlets was posting something about streaming affecting dirt track racing specifically. It wasn't racing. It was dirt track. Of course, it was a dirt track site, but they were back to that again. And that's the other part of that right there, to where, I mean, does it affect it? Yeah. I don't think we've ever said that it doesn't. I mean, because like here you get into situations to where, I mean, with heat and with all of that, I mean, hell, there are times that I go to the track where if I wasn't working, I probably wouldn't go, because you can check that shit out at home, and it is a part of it. It is definitely a part of it. So that's something we can kind of go back to, because I think now, and I think it's because there is so much streaming now. I mean, because it's not so much just Flow, Racing America, Race Vision, Race On. It's not all of that anymore. I mean, you get some of these tracks that are doing it on their own, and I think that's why that started to come up where tracks are doing it on their own.
It's a necessary evil to have nowadays. I talked to a track guy that's running a racetrack just the other day. We were talking about the impact of the streaming aspect of it. And, as long as there's a monetary component that benefits the racetrack, right? You got to have something that offsets the cost of the ass in the seat compared to the eyeballs on the stream. And that's where the streamers and the tracks and everybody needs to get together and try to come up with a happy medium on that deal. It's all about, as we say, it's all about the papers with the dead presidents. And, important people in history. So, as long as everybody's trying to make a little bit of money, that's what matters the most. But yeah, the eyeball on the screen has to be at least or better than the butt in the seat for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no doubt about that, because I mean it really is. I mean it makes it a hell of a lot easier. I mean, it makes that decision where if you're on the fence about whether you want to go to the racetrack or not, I mean, you sit there and think about it. It's like, well, there's a big event, or there's something that's going on tonight that I want to see, but I can kind of watch it here. I can turn it on, and I mean, odds are, I mean, hell, it's going to be a better view. I mean, it's comfortable. I mean, so it's good and bad. It's good and bad.
It's no different than the rise of the regular streaming with movies and televisions. As
Right.
that production got better and the value got better, then that became more of a norm, right?
Yeah.
It's just like with the racing, as the streaming got better and as the pictures got better and the sound gets better, it's better to just stay at home and stream it versus having to go out, right? So it's the same concept as it was with regular medium the whole time.
Yeah. We've got Cody Brusso just in a couple of minutes. Augie Grill's going to talk to us a little bit later on, and then John Mitchell will talk to us. So plenty of guests that we have stacked. But it's kind of weird for me when it comes to that, because I mean, I know a lot of folks with Netflix and movies. Movies nowadays, you can get them. You got a new release, you can get it at home, a hell of a lot quicker than it used to be. When you would have to wait for the disc or whatever. It took a while for that to come out.
VHS to come out at Blockbuster.
That's what I'm talking about. Go back into the private room back there. But I still prefer. I'll watch movies at home, but if I'm going to watch a movie, a feature film, I want to watch it at the theater. That's where for that, if there's something I absolutely really really want to see, I'd rather watch it at the theater than at home. It's just
I think it depends on the movie. There are some movies that you can compromise and watch at home on the streamer. There are some movies that you got to go see in person and experience the IMAX or experience the 3D or whatever the case may be.
Well, hell, now you go to the theater, and it's like, I mean, you got them lazy boys up in there, and you are totally comfortable in there. I mean, it's
somebody bringing you dinner, bringing you drinks.
Yeah, you can just order that stuff. I mean, there's nothing to it, but when it comes to racing, it is sometimes easier to watch it at home. All right, On Demand Shirts presents our first guest, and we head over a show favorite after a very successful 2024. And I'm sure she's probably still hammering away, working on something right now. It is one of our good friends. It is Cody Brusso. KB, how we doing, girl?
Man, we're doing good. How about y'all?
Man, we're just talking about the heat. Is it hotter than the son of a bitch over there in Florida?
No, it's cold. I got a hoodie on right now. I mean, anything
serious?
under 80, I'm done. I don't want nothing to do with it. So here we are.
Oh man, that's crazy. So I know when we kind of communicated earlier, you said might be at the shop, whatever. What are you thrashing on? What are you working on right now?
Everything. Yeah, we've got a lot going on. Our season is almost over. We have one more race left in a sportsman car at Freedom Factory Thanksgiving weekend, and I'm looking at 4 of them right now in my shop. I got Brooks' car for ops done. I'm working on a Hamke car that I'm about to list for sale. It'll make a great car for somebody. So if you're in the market, come see me. We got plenty. It's like a used car dealership over here. Nice piece. Hung the body by myself. I'm super proud of it. I'm actually getting a little handy at this stuff. And then I'm 2 more. So I got the Marshmallow car, of course, and then an Outlaw car in here. So we're stacking up for next year already. So
That's what I'm saying.
So, Cody, you had a really successful 2024, and we know you work hard. You've been working hard for years. Is it just racing luck that got you all the success here, or did you up the program somewhere? What was the magic secret to the sauce this year for having such a successful 2024?
honestly, it's just the people that I've surrounded myself with. Y'all pretty much know my backstory, right? So I've been through the ringer as far as the racing stuff goes. And we've teamed up with Jimmy Hammond. He asked me to drive his modified. And so this year was our 2nd championship in a row. We ended up almost undefeated this year. And my buddy Will Mack beat me one time over there at op, but that's okay. It's a good one to lose to, I guess. But and the people that work on the Burkhalters that work on I call it the little car, but the sportsman car down south, I mean, they're like family. So we have a big family deal going on, and it's just really worked out. And it takes a You know, it takes a village, and I've built a pretty good one. So that's kind of what I, you know, consider the success being. That's what I contribute that to, or tribute, or whatever it is. But I mean, if it wasn't for those people behind me and helping me and teaching me, that's a big part, because I've learned so much as far as just doing a lot of this stuff on my own. And if I get in a bind, I'll pick up the phone and call somebody if dad's not available or whatever. And it's just really worked out. And I mean, we've had fun. So
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing for me, is it got to where it wasn't fun and now it's fun again. So
yep. Isn't that, I'm glad you said that, Cody, because isn't that really a big deal? Because it is. I mean, it's a lot of work no matter what. But when it gets to be, I mean, there were times where we would race, you know, every week, and it got to the point, Cody, where we fucking dreaded going to the track, and it was like, oh, but we got to go. Yeah, you know, it's kind of one of those things. Once you kind of lift a little bit of that burden, and you surround yourself with people like that, with good people that make you better and kind of raise your plateau, that changes the whole mindset to this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, every time I close the door on the trailer when we're leaving out of the house, I don't go anywhere to run second. I don't go anywhere to run fifth. Sometimes it happens, you know. Everybody wants to win everything, and racing is racing, right? You can't win them all, but I like to win the majority of them and run well. So I'm only really honestly having fun if I'm winning. But you know, it just the people around you, even though if you have like an off weekend or whatever, and you're all right, whatever, we ran, you know, sixth, and okay, like, was it fun? No. But we had fun, if that makes sense. So I get to enjoy the people that I'm around now, which is cool. It's not a fight every time you go to the racetrack. We're not trying to kill each other or anything like that. And I know sometimes my attitude gets the best of me, but I've done a lot better this year, and I've calmed down so much. So that helps. But we all get to have fun, you know, throughout the day or the weekend or whatever. And like I said, I mean, we're like a huge family, and it all works for us. And everybody on different whatever car I'm riding that weekend, if we all go somewhere, they all get along. So it works out great, you know. And that's a big thing too. I mean, that's what makes the wheels turn.
Yeah. Hang on, Bobby. She says she's calmed down, but I text with her a lot. She's calmed down to you people.
Right. I've calmed down when I put my helmet on. We'll put it that way.
There you go.
Anything else, I'm still me. But when I get frustrated, I know how to kind of rein that in and not let my emotions get the best of me behind the wheel. And you know, that again, that all goes back to the people I've surrounded myself with. They know what's going to trigger me and what's not. So if I ever get in a situation on the racetrack, somebody will key up and be like, "You're good. You're fine. Just do your thing. You're good. It's all good. Just stay calm. We're going to roll right on." So that's what's been happening. And it works out.
That's right.
Hey, Cody, let's talk about the sportsman class as a whole, even into the outlaw a little bit. You know, there for a while, it was king of Florida, right? And you had the old cars, had a way to recycle the old cars. And then you had people get the custom built cars and all that, which we've talked about on here before. But the state overall of the class down there, obviously it was the template for, you know, a racing class all over the country. Is it still the cream of the crop down there in Florida or Alabama, or is it leveling out across the country, or is it still, you know, what's the state of the sportsmen and the outlaws?
Well, we'll be open and honest about this, right? I'll cut and dry, just at face value for what it is. And the sportsman stuff, the UARA Sportsman Series that Ricky has taken over, it's still really healthy. We're drawing 25 to 30 plus race cars per event usually, especially when they go to Freedom Factory or the Rattler at Op or Cordial. We're drawing like you got to qualify in, right? The outlaw stuff, like real outlaw stuff down here, that has taken a hit. Going back to it, they kind of let the rules, and no offense to anybody, oh well, if you take it, whatever, but they've let it get so far out, the average racer can't race it. Okay, so if you're not spending $100,000 a year, hang it up, do something different. You know, and there's I think there's two, you know, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 or 7 to whatever, racers left. One of them is a guy that I spot for, Bubba Winslow. He works on his own stuff. He buys his own stuff. The car is a 2009. We're racing against rowdy cars. We're racing against brand new Senecers. We're racing against brand new Gart cars, purposely built But now this other car, or these cars that I'm looking at now that we've built to run at South Alabama, they have a class. It's not called an outlaw, but it's an outlaw. It's what an outlaw is supposed to be. They still call it super stock. I don't know why. John's never going to change his mind on the name, right? So I don't even pressure him on that. But here's the deal. We race on 10-inch American Racer takeoffs. They're $200 a set. They're not bad tires.
A set?
Okay. A set. 4 tires cost you $200. Okay. All the cars out there are, let's see, my left-hander that's in the trailer that we call Marshmallow, 2002. This other car I'm looking at, 2004. This other one right here, 2004, 5-ish. Okay, we do great over there. That's what it's for. People that work. Supposedly we're supposed to go to a spec series shock next year. It's great. I don't know if you know anything about shocks. If you're going to go race at Five Flags, you better call Ernest. It's going to cost you, right? So the shocks that these guys are running on, that they'll be on at the Derby, an outlaw car costs probably more than 2 of these cars combined. With car count, pulling 12 at op. They're pulling 6 right up the road for me. Okay. So even your winnings, you still win $750.
Yeah.
You've spent 300, maybe you're clearing. So in my mind, the local racing, that's what it is. So now we're planning on, and I've really tried to help and the racetrack out as much as I can because I love the place. I like the people. John Dykes does a great job, keeps fans in the stands, keeps his car count up, does what he needs to do to help the racer. The, Monday through Friday working weekend warrior racer. We'll probably have 15 to 20 cars next year on a local show, not just the Rattler, right? So that's big, and that's what we're trying to build to keep that alive. Nobody wants to see 6 cars run around.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah,
I'm not going to run 7th out of 6 cars because I can't afford a $25,000 brand new Ford motor. But that's what you have to win.
Yeah,
you can try and grit and all that, but at the end of the day, you got to have that to go win. And we're just doing our thing. Like I said, we run the sportsman cars down south, and they travel a little bit, which is good for us. And they're drawing 30 because they're on a stock 602 GM. Got to be GM sealed or rebuilt with the Sealed Alliance or whatever it's called now. We're on a spec shock. Those cars are within 1/10 of each other as far as first. If you're 1/10 off P1, probably P30.
yeah.
So the field's tight. It's not like we all get spread out and ride, and that's that. We're racing every lap. Same deal for the most part at op, and that's what we're building to. I mean, op, you're on a stock 604 or a built motor with a 2-barrel that's compared to a 604, and that's stuff that people can afford.
Yeah.
Just is what it is. But the car count shows that. And depending on what happens in 2 weeks, there might be a change for everybody, for the worse or for the better. We don't really know.
Yeah. Well, and I think you hit the nail on the head, Cody, because you said, I mean, that's what the class is supposed to be. I mean, it was designed to be something like this. I mean, it was going to evolve. I mean, shit happens, shit
Yeah,
happens.
everything changes and everything evolves, and everything's always going to get more expensive. And
yeah,
I get it. But for us, for our program, just trying to go have fun and not, have to sell everything we own basically to go race and, refinance a truck to go try to run. We're just not going to do it. So we're doing what we can afford, and that's what we can do.
Yeah.
And we're having fun while we're doing it, and there's not all the stress involved, and it works out. Like I just said, I mean, down south, the sportsman stuff, that's a wheelman race or UARA or whatever you want to call it. I mean, those races are very, very hard to win.
Yeah.
And that's what it's supposed to be. But I want to do it against 30 cars where I know that I'm close.
Yeah.
Like I'm not 30th, but I mean, we're in there. You know what I'm saying? So somebody different has a chance to win every time we show up. It's not the same story over and over again.
Yeah.
And that's what's cool about it.
Cody, I knew that things were kind of changing for the Outlaws in Florida because, I mean, here in Texas, you know, with Houston doesn't run, I mean, a couple times a month. I mean, depending, it kind of fluctuates a lot. The Outlaws don't run all the time, but the Outlaws in Houston are out drawing the Florida track, you know, the Outlaws, quote unquote Outlaws, because these are, you know, full blown outlaws over here. And
Right.
that was kind of the eye opener for me, where I'm like, damn, things are changing over there. And the thing is with op, I mean, op really is, when it comes to short track, that is still a asphalt short track, man, because those folks, like you said, they got the right idea. They're racing people, and they want to satisfy the racers and give them a financially respectable place to get out there and do what you guys do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, with John, and I'm a big advocate for the stock 604, stock 602, and let's not have to send it off to a motor builder. And you know, we go, and a crate motor now out of the box is not cheap. Okay, it's not like it was 4 years ago or prior to COVID. I mean, stuff is still expensive. Well, then you do that, and then you got to double up to get one to go get one to go to a motor builder and get, you know, freshened and trued up and blah 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 and all this stuff. Well, we don't have to do that. We don't have to update the cams, and we don't need to be doing all that, right? It needs to be affordable. And I mean, even out here for the Outlaws don't have a weight break for a stock GM 604. If you flip through the pro late model rules, you know what they're doing. They're giving pro guys that want to run pro, oh, we'll give you a weight break if you're on a stock 604. Well, hell, that ain't gonna do them no good. You know what I'm saying? But it's still in the rules.
Yeah.
It's not in the outlaw rules at all. Why? Let's put it in the rules. Let's get us a weight break, and at least take these 15 cars that are running an op and give them a fair chance.
Sure.
Or, you know, because those guys, I mean, op's only like 2.5 hours from Montgomery, or an hour or something, and then 2 hours from Cordele or whatever. Like, all these other tracks can draw these outlaw cars back and make it what it used to be. Because when it started, we had 30 cars on a Friday night, right?
Right.
Now you have 6, and if you put everybody else back in the game, that's how you draw more cars.
Right.
I don't own a racetrack. I'm not a promoter. I don't make the rules. It's just what I see. I've grown up in it. I've been around it my whole life. So I know how it works.
That's right.
And I know what it costs, and I know what it takes to get cars. And they're just missing the ball. I mean, they're dropping the ball on that, man. Like, it's right there in front of your face. You want the cars or you don't. Let's adjust so we can get these cars.
That's right.
Or the people that have a car that's sitting at the house, maybe they're not running it off or whatever, but it's sitting under a car cover because that's what they have, and they don't want to go buy, again, they don't want to go buy a $25,000 motor. All right, we got what we got. Let's put them in the game.
That's right.
That's all I'm saying.
That's right.
So, Cody, have you had a chance to think about 2025 yet and what you want to do, obviously, with the world changing and everything else? Or are you just concerned on that Thanksgiving race at the Freedom Factory?
Well, right now, you know, we're pretty focused on the Freedom Factory race. The last time we went, we were top 3 all day in practice. They've got that car so hooked up. I mean, it's been really good to us this year. We went to the Freedom Factory, getting ready to qualify. We had a box go bad while we're lining up for qualifying, so we slammed box in it. We didn't get to qualify, so I had to start in the back. I think that's like 28. They wrecked in front of us, of course, on the first lap. It's a big track compared to what they're used to running on, right? These guys are used to running on a quarter mile. You put them on a big 3/8 or whatever, they don't know what to do. So they all stacked up. Had the wreck missed. Luckily, I was already turning to the right. I was looking where we needed to go, and the guy in front of me, bless his heart, he locked the brakes down. So I had to come in, and we had to take the hood off of it. And then we went from 28th in that deal to 6th. And by the time it was done, I didn't have a left rear shock on it. Big spring car, right? So it worked. It was just terrifying. The car was beat to shit. And but we ended up 6th, you know, with no hood, no shock, starting at in 28th, got to 6th in 75 laps. And that's a hard thing to do in those cars. And we did it. If we got to qualify, I think the outcome of that race would have been different. So we're super excited going back to that on Thanksgiving weekend. We should have a pretty good shot if everything goes smooth. And as far as 2025 goes, again, like, we got a car in here for Brooke to run the super stock, or whatever you want to call it, for op. And we'll probably, if they give us a weight break on a stock 604, we'll probably end up racing some cordial some and here and there. And I've got my car for over there, and we're probably gonna do. I haven't really talked to Jimmy, but we'll probably hit here and there in the modified. We were talking about coming to Houston a little bit, but it just the schedule didn't really fall right this year to do it. And Cordials, I think, is going to try to run some, so we'll be jumping around in it a little bit, and then we'll hit the bigger racetracks in the sportsman car. I'm not a big fan of the quarter mile stuff. It just doesn't really fit my driving style, and I'm not big on beating and banging and replacing sheet metal, and that's what they seem to like to do when they get on the quarter mile. So we'll probably just run a limited schedule on that. Of course, Speed Weeks at New Smyrna, we won that at the beginning of the year, so we're planning on going back to that and just kind of just going to when we can go and have fun and run well, and that's what we'll do.
That's right. That's what it's all about. That is what it's all about. Well, I was going to ask you about Blondie. You touched on that one there, and the Hammonds also. So that's good stuff right there as well. So
yeah, she's all right. I already cooked her dinner tonight, so she's in there. She's in there. She's not being mean, so that's good.
That's good. Got to keep her in line.
Got
to keep her in line. Super awesome. And by the way, yes, you are getting good at hanging those bodies. That picture you sent me, it looked mighty good.
Yeah, for sure. And again, I mean, we've got a couple cars for sale if anybody's ready to dabble off in that or wanting to go race wherever. I mean, they'll race wherever. I'm just personally not going to drop a whole bunch of cash right now to go buy me a brand new nice super duper Ford motor to put off in it. So if anybody wants to do that, I got the cars to do it. That'll put you up front. So come see me, message me on Facebook, whatever you need to do.
We'll send them your way if they reach out to us, my friend. We will certainly do that. All righty, girl. Well, as always, we appreciate you jumping in here. Good luck at the Freedom Factory, and I'm sure that I'll talk to you sooner than later.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, guys.
All right, you bet. Take care.
All right, bye-bye.
You bet. She goes, Cody Brusso. $200 a set? Damn.
That's why I need to put Eco Stocks in Houston on some kind of racing tire. Those front tires on those Eco Stocks are costing like $200 a pop, and you got to change one per race. It's crazy.
$200 a set. And that, I mean, because it really, well, I was going to say, and the thing is, where it is kind of different, I mean, I think that could kind of be like a factory stock. I essentially, that's what that is. Except you have, the body. I mean, you've got the home built. Well, I mean, I guess the factory stock's supposed to be a home built body too, I guess. Because you think about that. I mean, because with her cars there, like she was talking about with the budget and so forth. I mean, factory stocks. I saw one for sale. I forget where it was, and it was, I think it was $18K race ready. You could get it as a roller for. I don't
11.
Yeah. And it's like, damn. See that's what needs to happen with factories. That is a super stock. What she talked about. That's a super stock.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not an entry level class by no means, or a budget friendly class by no means. That's why I think the popularity of the pure stock is going to start coming back, because the factory stocks just got way too damn expensive for what they are.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, they run for the big money shows and all of that, but you got to kind of weigh the option, I mean, you got to understand your program. If you're going to invest in a factory stock and try to run those big shows, every time there's a shitload of money on the line, you're going to have the best of the best show up with those high dollar ass cars. So,
yeah. And that really is the thing, because I can tell you, I mean, having been there, I've only been once, but I go one time, I go to a place one time and I talk about it like I'm there all the time. But I can tell you over there at OP, that is, I mean, with every division that they have right there, and like what she's done there with Jimmy Hammond in the modified. I mean, it's that. God bless America. That's what I wish we could have here, because here I think it would be if you could do something like that. When we talk about wanting more dates and more participation and so forth, I think that would obviously help in that respect. But man, that's. And the thing is, I mean, yeah, if you go to Pensacola and you watch, the outlaws that we're talking about, the full blown outlaws, yes, you are going to tell a difference in them. They sound different. They stick like a magnet. But when you get those kind of the sportsmen, UARA sportsmen and all that, man, it's a better race. It's a better race.
I mean, if you're going to, it doesn't matter what it is, right? I mean, I've watched the Crown Stock race with 25 cars be entertaining as hell. I've watched one of those compact touring series, the Vors compact touring series. I've seen those with 28, 29 cars, and the race has been entertaining as hell. So it doesn't matter the class. It just matters the quality of the car built for that class, I think, is where that's where the magic is. Whether you're a promoter or a series owner or whatever, you got to have the right mix of competitiveness for the right class. That's all that matters. You can't have one guy just going out and whooping everybody's ass. If somebody's going out and winning 10 out of 11 features, but they're not smoking ass, 3/4 of a lap ahead, that's not great for the class. But if somebody wins 10 out of 11 and they, and they're running first and seconds 2 or 3 car lengths behind them, and they're just better than everybody else, that's good for the class.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, because I think a lot of that really, really is, I think with drivers, because I say this with a division like that, and I'll say it with any kind of stock car division that you're going to have on either surface, is where I think if you're a driver, especially if you're somebody that's raced for a while, you've done it for a little bit, but money's hard to find. If you're not, one of those like talking about with the shocks and all that, and the motors, you can't do that kind of stuff. I think what it does is when you go to the track and you have an idea, because right there towards the end with us, when the super stocks really started blowing up in Kyle, it was like, okay, we're going to head out there and we're probably going to be 7th. Yeah, just because of, I mean, you knew what you were racing against, and I think that's where with that, and it's the same thing that I see in the compacts or in the mini stock or something like that, is to where, when you've got Joe Blow up in the crowd and he's sitting up there and he's really thinking about wanting to do that, and he goes to every race, but the same fucking guy wins by half a track. It's like, okay, do I really want to do that? I mean, I want to have a half-ass chance. Am I going to win? I'm going to lose more than I win, but at least I'll have a chance. And I think that's the big part about it. I mean, money rules, like you said. The dead president paper, that runs everything. But damn it, it's nice to think that you just never know. If things work out, maybe I can get me one or two.
But see, the sad part is that the racing evolution is always ruined by racers wanting more from the next class up that they can't afford to run. That's why when some of the classes came through, you saw that with the evolution of the DCRST. Nothing against DCRST, but that DCRST is nothing like the DCRST that you ran with what they now call dwarf sportsman cars. You didn't have the high-dollar racing shocks. You didn't have the high-dollar rear ends, the really high-dollar custom-built motors. You just had, basically I wouldn't call it a bone stock motorcycle motor, but
oh yeah,
I mean, but it was an affordable class. Well, then you had guys coming in that wanted to have a mod light. Well, it's like, well, go run your ass a mod light. Well, I can't afford a mod light. Well, then go do something else. And then the dwarf car series morphed into what it is now. Now, granted, they got the car count back up, and the car count's pretty damn impressive for what they are, with as expensive as they are. So, I mean, you've seen that kind of the same thing with the sportsman. They kind of started out as a super stock with the Camaro frames and stuff like that. Then they let them put the older bodies on them. Then they started letting the late models in there, the old late model chassis in there, and it just kind of morphed from there. So it's always been the same thing. Racers have always wanted what they can't afford in the class above what they're racing.
I think one of the biggest home runs that was ever hit around here, and a lot of it was timing. I mean, a lot of it was timing where things just happened to work out, where you had, everything that was going on in San Antonio, with Kyle, where you had with Thunder Hill. Sorry. See, now it's my turn.
Yeah, right.
Where you had the limited late models and all of that. I mean, Marianne and them with Texas Super Racing Series. I mean, if you go back and you look at that, the way that was all set up, and you go back and look at the competitiveness of that, to where it was like, it was usually going to be somebody different winning. And you remember you'd go to Corpus, and who was a dude from Corpus, where they went down to Corpus and everybody shows up down there for one of the first races in Corpus. And one of the Corpus guys shows up and whoops all their asses. And he didn't have anything. Who the hell was that? It wasn't our man Arredondo. It wasn't him. God bless America. I can't remember.
It wasn't Lawrence either.
No, it wasn't Lawrence. It was a Mexican dude. It was a Mexican dude that did that. He was in a red car. So somebody will have to tell us. I don't remember who that was, but
see, but they had to make concessions for the TSRS cars when San Antonio closed. They had to make, you know, because TSRS was Camaro clip cars, wasn't it? And then when San Antonio closed, you had to have a full-blown late model. So they had to adjust the rules a little bit to get more car count. And it worked. I mean, there were certain advantages. Some of those TSRS cars are still racing today. Some of them are fireballs. Some of them are outlaws in Houston.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where, I mean, it is, and I guess this is more of an asphalt conversation to where you could to where you could get it to a point to where you did have something affordable like that, like you do at Op. I mean, because it, like she was talking about with the modifieds there, that what she does with Hammond. I mean, they've got a good car count at Op with that as well. But a lot of it is with that, I'll be curious to see what the spec shock, because a lot of times with that's a situation to, I remember when our man Nick Holt, who was, you know, very much a stickler for rules and you know, Nick the Prick, as he likes to recount himself being called, where he had the rule about the 2 tire a week or 1 tire a week, could only buy 1 tire. Only 1 tire. You had to figure out what to do. Well, you know, the guys with money didn't like that idea, you know, because they would
that
go
went over like a fart in church, man. That was not a popular decision.
That went over like it did with y'all when y'all were on the sport mods and on the pavement. And oh man, we got to make this
to a $40 tire recap, and everybody said they suck. So that's like they first thing they do is bitch about tires. And we find an affordable tire, and then they bitch about the affordable tire being a brick. And it's like, well, pick your poison.
Tighten the field up and made the races really damn good, every one that I remember seeing. And it's like, oh, I don't like it. I lost a second or half a second or whatever it was. And that, I mean, that is the thing where the racer becomes its worst enemy. But it's usually the racer. And again, I mean, it's the racer that is able to do more. And I think that's where we see, like with the pro late models on asphalt, I think the pro late models are kind of at a point right now where, like I've said, one of Gina's biggest wins at Mobile was, you know, 30-lap feature races for the pro late models. And these guys would show up, you know, that may struggle at Pensacola or wherever else they'd struggle, but hell, the dude would get out there that would usually run back in those days, because they had a lot of cars in Pensacola. The dude may run 13th at Pensacola, but he'd come out and then dominate, you know, 30-lap feature race. So it, you know, I don't know, man. It's a lot of stretching that you have to do to make the shit work.
Well, it's more than that. It's like playing Jenga, right? You gotta, not that your pull-out game has to be strong, but you know, you have to have a way to make that, you know, you got to pull the bricks out and start stacking them again. And you just got to come through. And it's just like, you know, it's like, you know, what's pick another board game, like Connect 4, right? You just got to connect all the dots to make it happen. Like, it's not easy. What's the one with the Twister? Same kind of thing. You got to put your right hand on the red dot and your left foot on the green dot, and hope like hell you don't crash in the middle.
Yeah. That really is the thing. And I hate to always go back to the shock thing and all of that, because I mean, you and I both know a lot of really, really talented people that do really, really well in their businesses with working on shocks and doing the things that they do and building these cars. I mean, we've got friends in that industry that build race cars for a lot of money, and they've got great customers. We talk to a lot of them on here, but
hell, we got one coming up.
That's exactly right. I mean, and it's not to say that those people are the problem, but like the one that's coming up, I mean, that's different. I look at that different because that's kind of a whole different client base in that situation. I mean, because that's you and me ain't going to go buy one of those GRC cars. You know, it's, I mean, and if we do, damn, where you been hiding that money, Bobby? Because, I need a loan. So it, I don't, and so I hate to talk shit about that, but I mean, that's really what it is. So some can and some can't. And that's just, it's like anything else. It's like sports. I mean, you look at high school football, you know, we got the Battle of the Lakes coming up tomorrow here. And it's like, oh, that's the whatever, you know, whatever you want to call it. Those schools are so rich. You know, they're the lone school district schools in both of their school districts, and they have all the resources and they have all this. And what about poor East Austin schools and East Round Rock schools and all that? you know, that's just beyond anybody's control. That's beyond.
Well, I mean, the big schools are the ones that can recruit and not get in trouble. They drop the hammer on the little ones that try to do that.
They don't recruit in high school. What are you talking about? Come on, Bobby. Don't say that. Don't say that.
Yeah, no, it never happens. Those schools end up having the best of the best, and you're like, huh? How do they consistently continue to do that? Must be a hell of a program they have when, running the same system in junior high all the way up to high school.
Yeah. I was laughing, as a matter of fact, the other day on the TSU show, because it's like you got a kid that's all badass over there at, I don't know, Elgin. Yeah, he's great over there. He does all this, and I'll be damn, he ends up moving to Westlake. How'd that happen?
So strange. Just a job opportunity that just, it just happens miraculously.
Couldn't pass it up. So let me take a look right here. Waiting for Augie Grill. Augie Grill is actually supposed to join us via video here, so I'll check in with him. He's probably working on said customer cars. He's working on people that were bitching about cars right now, probably.
Well, I mean, it happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go back over here. Our man John Witchy says, and this is back to you, Bobby. You can probably speak to this better than I could. The thing about the tires and toms was that they sold the curd to, well, yeah. I mean, that was a Towel City retread. I mean, Towel City retread. I mean, it was. I mean, we ran them in stock cars at Austin. We ran them, to your point about the Dwarf Car Racing Series of Texas. That's what we ran. Well, I mean, we had the recaps, and I mean, they were super cheap. They were horrible. If you could get one that you could massage enough, it would. I had a right rear that we put on that car in 2016, and man, I ran it till the cords were showing in the final race in 2016, and it just made the car good. That they were. I mean, those tires, they sucked, but they sure as hell did even things up.
That's part of the battle. It's part of the battle.
Mm-hmm.
It's you got to do what's best for the series, what's best for the individual.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Revved Up Livecast come to you here on a Thursday. So we are doing this on Thursday. Kind of, I've had some folks ask, Monday is still the show day, but it seems like everything that just in the past few weeks, whether it comes to conflicts and so forth, that for whatever reason, it's fallen on a Thursday. So typically what happens with Bobby and I is if something is going on Monday, and this Monday was my anniversary, I had a green light to do the show, but I just, excuse me, thought that it might not be the best idea, Yeah. I'm in the studio a lot, so I thought whatever. But that's the thing. When we get off on Monday, it's like, okay, how about here? How about here? How about here? Believe it or not, Bobby and I are actually busy people. We actually really have shit to do.
We do have real jobs.
Well, you do.
Yeah, I do now.
Yeah. So yes. So that's. But I got to tell you though, I've talked to a few different people that actually like the Thursday, because what we were talking about, to where it's like, with what we have going on with the World Crown and with the Fall Classic and all of that, it gives us a little more time kind of into the week to kind of be ready for that. You know what I mean? Because Monday, everything is freshly happened. I mean, even though when we talk about the NASCAR stuff, it's like, different things happen later in the week. So I've actually had some pretty good pushback on Thursday. So I don't know. We'll figure that out. I mean, we're into the off season, so that definitely makes it easier to do this.
Speaking of off season, hopefully people got a chance to catch the Bobby Allison replay that we posted the other day. Don't forget to check out the archives. We tell you guys that all the time. There have been numerous multi NASCAR Hall of Famers have been on this show. Not so much recently, but in years past, we've had 2/3 of the Alabama gang come on. We've had Terry Labonte, Bobby Labonte, Mario Andretti, Clint Boyer. We've had them all come on the show. So you got to check out the archives, and it'll be a very, very surprising list of a lot of racing champions that you'll recognize.
When you messaged me yesterday with the Bobby Allison, I was like, I know I have it somewhere. I mean, I know it's somewhere. We've changed providers and done different things over the how many years of the show?
8.
Damn, 8 years. 8 years. So it's one of those things to where like, okay, let me look around. So let me show you where I found that one. external hard drive.
Oh boy.
Look at this. I mean, all these cables. And I pulled up that list, and dude, same with me. I had forgotten some people that have been on this show. I mean, with all the different people that we've had on here, I totally forgot. And like I told you, Bobby, Lord forbid something ever happened to me. I don't think you can see this, but I've put a note on here for the wife. You probably can't see it, but it says for BC. So, if something were to ever happen, I don't have much to give you in the will that I don't have, but you'll get this. So
Oh, that's good to know.
there's lots of good stuff in here. Tau City conversation once again, and it's John. We're good at CC. Yes. And the tire balancing was imperative. In the dwarf car. We would balance our tires, and it really made that car run really, really good. We changed some stagger on that car and kind of moved some stuff around a little bit, totally within the rules. I mean, just kind of did a little shifting, balanced the tires, did all these different things, and man, that thing got really, really fast. So anyway, but yeah, I mean, Tau City retread, not a bad option, but with pull-offs and so forth.
Chris was talking about putting them on the trucks at one point.
I think that would be a really good idea. I think that would be a really good idea, but I know it's not what the racers want.
They'd rather spend the money.
Yes. They really want to spend the money, and then the ones that don't have it get extremely pissed off. So let's go back to the Bobby Allison thing. I've got a text into Augie right here, and I really hope that we get to talk to him, because that win there at the Show Me the Money race, it's one thing when Augie Grill wins a race, it's just badass, but that one a hell of a lot more special for reasons that we'll let him, if we don't get him today, we'll let him tell us about that whenever it goes down. But the Bobby Allison thing, and did you see Newgarden got a win back today? Did you see that?
Oh, they gave him the St. Petersburg win back?
Gave him the St. Pete win back. So it's like, okay, IndyCar sees this and they're like, okay, well, I guess we need to get with the times also. And then there was some conversation today about the Darrell Waltrip race, because there's a Darrell Waltrip win out there still. And now Darrell Waltrip actually got surpassed because Bobby Allison now has 85. But that's good for Bobby. That's good for Bobby. He was
of the things he remembered on the show, that was damn sure one of them when he talked to us.
Dude, isn't that the thing about it, where I know that Bobby Allison crash, and again, you can find it on YouTube. It's there on our YouTube page, which, by the way, subscribe and like that. Still trying to get to 500. It's like we have bursts, and we've got giveaways for 500 and 501. We've got Revved Up gear for you, courtesy of On Demand Shirts. So be sure and oblige us with that if you can.
We're halfway there. We're at 250. I saw it earlier.
Yeah,
or 240.
Yeah. So we're getting close. We're getting close. So tell your friends, tell people you don't like. But it was like I had been told, about Bobby, where it's like, there's going to be some things there that may be a little foggy or whatever. Man, when he was talking about that Matador, I'm like, shit, that was not foggy. That was not foggy.
I mean, he remembered running at Texas World. Like that was, he remembered coming down here for that.
Yeah. And the Texas World wreck, I think, if I remember correctly, was so you had the Daytona. He won. That was him and Davey. That was in February of that year. He came and raced here in March, and then I think the Texas World wreck was in June. So it was kind of all right there in a time period pretty close. So but yeah, that's a great one right there. Go back and check that out. The Bobby Allison conversation now with 85 wins. We're going to talk here in just a little bit to John Mitchell. We'll talk some late model racing. Bobby, is there a way for Texas to have a, I know I-37 has dirt late models, and I know that we have up north, you've got the late models, and then you have some down south, but it's not consistent. What do you think the impact would be if you had like a crate late model series that was Texas wide?
I think there's too many tracks to make it happen. Do I think it's cool? Yeah, it'd be pretty damn cool, but I don't know. I think that it just becomes, I mean, Cody tried his heart out to run a touring series late model class. And yeah, it caught on for a little bit, but for whatever reason, the magic for crate late models, other than places not named I-37 Speedway, they just don't show up. Even at Cotton Bowl, it took an arm and a leg to pull out all those guys to run the Jamie Camel Memorial Race there at Cotton Bowl. So it's, for whatever reason, up north, it's kicking ass. That crate late model series, American crate late model series, northern region is just kicking ass all over North Texas and in Louisiana. Southern region, yeah, not so much. I think the biggest car count they had was a dozen cars.
Yeah, that really is the thing, to where it and I get that maybe I would say the consistency of the events, but like you said right there with 37, I mean, 37 has their diehard. Yep, 37. I-37 is an interesting subject to me because we talk about Marianne and Cotton Bowl. And again, thank you to Cotton Bowl Speedway for being a great supporter of this program throughout the year. But 37's kind of getting that. You notice that 37's kind of getting that where they've got their people. I mean, they've got their people that's going to run there. And the damn, now that place, the crowd's always full. They do not have a problem with that. They're kind of getting that hometown feel too, kind of like we talk about with CBS.
It's getting there. But you're getting to that point where the guys don't travel. Because, well, I guess, there's pluses and minuses to traveling. Sometimes you just don't have to. If you got a good weekly show that's working for you and you're competitive and you want to stay there, hell, stay there. Nobody says you have to travel. It makes it a little more fun for us to talk about and for the fans to talk about when you do travel.
Yeah. And that's where I think if you got to like a late model series to where you did have that, and I'm talking about, when I talk about a late model series in Texas, I am talking about throughout. I mean, because like you said, it maybe the difference is, and this is a conversation that I've had with different people in Louisiana and Mississippi and so forth, to where it's them that ask me that question. And it's like you're talking about with traveling. I mean, when we talk about with some of these states along the Gulf Coast, to go,
you can drive 4 hours and go from Louisiana to Pensacola.
Right. And that's,
you drive 4 hours, you're barely going from San Antonio to Houston.
That's the thing, because it's like I have had a lot of folks that ask me about the Houston, working in Houston. And it's like, yeah, it's great. I mean, I wish it were closer. And they're like, what do you mean closer? You're right around Austin, right? Houston's right there. I'm like, no, that's about 3.5 hours. I mean, it's not like right next door. I mean, I think our closest neighbor, if you want to talk about a big city, is San Antonio. But I mean, shit. I mean, now, yes, in proximity, 80 some odd miles to go to San Antonio, but you ain't just going to get over there. I mean, you got to pack a lunch, because travel here is not easy at all, whatsoever, at all.
Especially with all the construction in Houston, Austin, and San Antonio. Don't even throw that in. Factor in that horrible drive.
Oh my God, I know, and that's the other part of that, to where I think that does hamper. When we talk about traveling stuff because it's kind of the same thing that happens with the Houston conversation with people, where it's like, well, there were a lot of asphalt cars in San Antonio. Where are they? And I'm like, well, probably most of them are at IH-37. And the other part of it is, that's not the easiest drive. I mean, you're going to get on I-10. I-10's a piece of shit between San Antonio and I had to drive on I-10 partly for just a little bit, Bobby, when I went to the race reunion. It kind of spit me out right there for a little bit before I went to 16 or 410. God, that's atrocious.
All that construction is horrible down there.
God, it's horrible. You're driving.
I got hung in that going to Corpus one time.
Yeah.
Going to the race ranch.
Yeah. And the guardrail's right there. There is no room to move, and you get stuck. I mean, you get one rubbernecker in there. You get one person with their head up their ass, and it just backs everything up. I mean, there's nowhere to go. I mean, it's a horrible drive.
Yeah, it's not much fun. The roads up here are not as good as they once were. It reminds me of Dallas with all the damn road construction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, certainly does. I mean, it is a little better in that Waco area that we talk about, but you get the Temple and all that, and of course that's a mess as well. Haven't heard from Augie before John Mitchell. Let's touch on a little bit of NASCAR, Bobby. Joey Logano. You know, it's like it's scripted, right? I mean, the dude gets in with the infraction there on the 48 car, and he wins. Now he's going to the Final Four. Couldn't
Everybody
write it.
says that's rigged, right? How the hell can you rig that kind of story?
Yeah, no, there's no way to do that. I mean, that's one of those things where Joey Logano has become that dude where you give him just a little bit that they're going to figure out a way. They're going to figure out a way to make the most of it. I mean, that's a damn good team. I mean, with Penske, and when I saw that he got in, I said I'm ready for the shitstorm when he wins this championship because these tracks coming up for him. I mean, these are Joey Logano tracks, and
they're already running simulations for Phoenix already. Starting that Monday, they started running simulation for Phoenix.
Yeah, and the hard part, yeah, exactly. The hard part for Logano's done. So I mean, he's just going to be figuring that part out, and I don't know. You know, Larson's kind of. I don't know if Larson's got the playoff jitters. I don't know what's going to happen there with Hendrick, but I just something tells me it's going to be Logano winning this damn championship. It would only fit this year with all the bullshit that's gone on. It would only fit for Joey Logano to be the championship winner with the way that he got in.
Well, it is an even number year, so that helps out with his championship goal. So,
yeah,
that'd be 3 straight for Penske.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Quietly 3 straight.
Because when you go back and you look at the seasons, I mean, it hasn't been Ford, you know, destroying the field. I mean, it's in Chevrolet and Toyota, and then you get down to this part of the year when it's, you know, time to shit and get, and it's Penske. It's Penske and the Fords, and they seem to be, and it's funny with Ford because they seem to be really good at winning championships, and they seem to be really good at the big tracks. They seem to be really good at Michigan, where, you know, the manufacturer is right down the road over there. So it's like they may not be dominating and doing all the different things, but they sure as hell they sure as hell are good at the ones that really count.
Yeah, they're good. They're good at the places that matters the most.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that. Last week, we did touch on this last week, but we do want to pull this up again. The 2025 season schedule happening over at Texana Raceway Park. And the main reason that I did want to pull that up is because we are set to talk to Monty. Monty Chamberlain is set to join us next Monday, because it will be a Monday show as far as we know at this point. So Monty is set to join us. Monty's anniversary, I think, was today too. So and when I asked him to jump on today, he's like, I don't think that would be the best idea. But there's your 2025 season schedule. I think they may have changed something. I don't know.
They've added sponsors. That's the main thing.
Ooh.
They've added sponsors and added in some sprint car races. So as of right now, they have 2 sprint car races set up with the SUS, Southern United Sprint Car. So they have 2 races there. Had a good talk with Mr. Chamberlain yesterday. In fact, driving home stuck in Austin traffic, had a really good talk with Monty. So we were exchanging ideas, and I'll get with you on one of the ideas that we talked about yesterday. So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So there's that. We'll get some more in-depth information. And the last communication I had with Monty, he said that Monday might work better anyway, early in the week. He said Monday might work better anyway because there may be something else that, you know, that he can tell us about. So that sounds like good progress over there. And I guess when we have that initial surge as we get to, you know, I always think it's really interesting to watch when you have all these multiple dirt tracks in South Texas with the schedule releases. And Texana wins by a mile this time. Well, a lot of the other places aren't done yet. I guess that's part of it. But man, Texana, they're locked and loaded and ready.
they're ready to go, right? I mean, it's they had a disappointing end to 2024, and they're looking forward to a really productive and exciting 2025.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Should be a loaded season out there. Again, Monty Chamberlain will join us on Monday. We'll get additional information there about Texana. Step away for just a moment here from a couple of our great supporters. Of course, it's On Demand Shirts, sponsoring our guest line, and of course, audiovisual consultations as well. Here's a word from those great folks.
Shirts and OnDemandShirts.com. Custom apparel and promo products for every occasion. Birthday parties, reunions, company apparel, school events, fundraisers, and more. Much more than T-shirts. It is On Demand Shirts. Check them out for your hoodies, shirts, koozies, and so many different products. On Demand Shirts and OnDemandShirts.com. A leading innovator in apparel throughout the racing industry and in the state of Texas. On Demand Shirts. More than shirts. On Demand Shirts.
Welcome to the My Race Pass app, the #1 app for motorsports fans. We want to make sure you get the most out of your My Race Pass app experience. With your new free account, you can use the My Race Pass app to see race day information, including event entries and official lineups and results for over 600 organizations across North America. You can also see track information and purchase online event tickets for select tracks. With your free account, you can also search for a track or series on the My Race Pass app and favorite their profile to receive news and race day notifications on your mobile device. To see more information and to see which app subscription is best for you, be sure to visit getmrpapp.com. My Race Pass, the ultimate racing resource.
Hi, this is Tom McKay with Audiovisual Consultations. Today's home electronics can be a bit daunting. My company has spent the last 36 years making sure they are not. For those of you who have not experienced our services yet, we'd like to invite you to give us a try for all your home electronics needs. We carry all the major brands of televisions and stereo equipment at prices you can't find in stores. And we come to you. There's no need to leave your home to find great pricing and incomparable service. No traffic, inexperienced sales geeks, or pushy showroom tactics. We believe in having some fun and dreaming big. You have a dream for your home entertainment? Let us know. We can make it come true. And we are always there to help after the job is done. We cultivate clients for a lifetime by treating everyone like their family. No, not those family members. I'm talking about the ones you actually like. So relax, hug your kids, make love to your wife, and smile. Then, when you have a moment, give us a call at 255-8678. That's 512-255-8678. Or online at avconsultations.com.
Your home theater system right there with audiovisual consultations. Check them out. And of course, On Demand Shirts, they are the official apparel provider of the Revved Up Sports Show. So our man James Cole and that group will get you hooked up and get you looking fly.
And they're gonna get some really special Bobby Chaffee gear printed up here as soon as I can get the logo down to them.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about right there. They'll get that design. And the cool thing about them is once they have once they have it, once they get that in their database or whatever, it's like, you can want a random thing, but once they have like this, once they have it there, you call them and you're like, hey, I want a hoodie, but I need size 5X. They'll put their hands on the 5X apparel, put that on there, and boom, right out the door, because they have all of that stuff sitting right there. And I got to tell you, the embroidered stuff is really cool to have. Like the polos that we have, those are, to sit there and watch the way that they do that. We've had some of the videos on here on some of their commercials where we show them. They just input whatever, and you sit there and you watch, and that thing is just boom, here it comes. Pops out and it is done.
And I hope I can get my new logo embroidered, but it's a little complex. Have I showed it to you? I have to send it to you.
I think I saw it. Question here on the comment line. How is it having the Aussie commentator in Texas? I'm assuming that was the Lone Star 600. Actually, I didn't see a lot of the Lone Star 600 this year. I was doing different things. Main reason that I wasn't there was that because I think it was Texas football stuff that I was working on. And I think I had a high school game that Friday as well. So I didn't get to see a lot of it. The different things that I've seen on social media apparently was a hit. So, hey, that's great. Lee Diffie. We got the Lee Diffie of race on going on around here.
Yeah, we do. He was on the morning drive the other day, and it was very entertaining. Talking about how apparently he was talking about how he just took over and had to luckily had the week off because of COVID after the Olympic break before he took over. So
Diffie, okay,
yeah, Lee Diffie, yeah.
Well, and that's one of those things to where he's taken over the market. You look at that dude and. I mean, I know with IndyCar and so forth, I mean, he's everywhere, and that's great. I mean, I know some of the, I would like personally nothing. I mean, I'd like Alan Bestwick or one of those dudes, but I mean, I tell you what, the dude makes a damn thing entertaining. I will tell you that, and that's what counts. I mean, that's what counts.
I mean, he's doing something right because they bring him in for the playoffs, so obviously that helps out some.
Mm-hmm. Our man Kenneth Canal is also here as we kind of clean up some of the chat right here. And this is back to the conversation that we were talking about streaming and so forth. Make the race more of an experience for the fan, not just the cars on the track. And that's extremely important right there. And a lot of times that's a challenge because that's with some of the newer folks that are race fans now. I mean, to get them involved. I mean, it's like something that satisfies a newer race fan is going to piss off an older race fan. So it's like that's tough. That's really hard right there. But like the other day in Houston when you had the Halloween contest and the foot races and all the different things. I mean, that's the kind of stuff you got to do right now.
Well, I mean, that's what you got to do. That's some of the things they got planned there in 2025 there at Texana is some of the whatchamacallit, the spectator races and foot races again.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's go back to the guest line once again. Checking in. It is our man. Now we're going to talk on the dirt track side. Big winner this past weekend in the late models. We're talking about big winner. It is our man, John Mitchell. John, how you doing, sir?
Pretty good. We're just doing a little testing here on this Thursday night.
Oh man, where you at, brother?
We're at Plummerville, Arkansas. We're getting ready I'm driving a customer of mine's car at the Dome in St. Louis, coming up here in a month or so, and they wanted me to come down, just kind of get settled in, make sure the seat and all that stuff was good to go.
Absolutely. Well, that being said, we won't keep you long. Just wanted to get you in after that big win last weekend, the Spooky 50 over at Super B. Take us through it, man. Long time coming for you right there on that comp series. Man, really glad to see you back in Victory Circle.
Yeah, we've struggled here the last year or so. Had some decent runs here and there, and we tried really hard. Just our luck hadn't been on our side. But this last month or so, we've gained some momentum, and it finally paid off last weekend.
Absolutely.
And John, you touched on it. Momentum is such a key ingredient to so many things, especially in racing, because there's times when you can't get out of your own way. You're stepping on it even when you don't want to, not on purpose. But that momentum thing kind of pops in. Are you the big momentum believer about how when it starts rolling in a good way, it just continues to roll and you get better and better and better, and it's finally your time?
I think so. I mean, the competition's so tough these days, and man, it takes everything, working just right to get these wins anymore. And like I say, we're kind of a smaller team. I own all my equipment, and it just takes everything we can to get to the racetrack and put these good nights together.
Talk about that, John, because we were talking to an asphalt driver from Florida, first part of the program, and we were having that first that conversation. As a matter of fact, so there with the Comp Cam's Super Dirt Series, money. I mean, that's what it takes. I mean, speed costs money, whether it's shocks, motors, whatever the case is. Talk about that struggle right there when you are a smaller team right there and you're doing it all out of pocket, man. That gets really hard to stay competitive.
It is. I mean, it's big between the fuel bills and going up and down the road, tire bills, engine bills, refreshments. It takes a lot to keep up with this deal because you've got to have the best equipment, it seems like now, to compete on this kind of level.
Absolutely.
John, is gas the hidden expense that a lot of people don't think about? Because we know race cars are expensive, but I think a lot of times we forget about how much it costs to get the race cars to the racetrack, especially when gas kind of popping up, to $3-4 a gallon.
Yes, luckily I've got a good sponsor that's been behind me for a few years that helps us on our diesel bill up and down the road, and man, that is a big help. But yeah, just these haulers are so expensive and maintenance, and man, it's just so many hours put into this stuff to get these good runs we've had here in the last month or so, to kind of keep you going, man. It kind of makes you question yourself, on some of these bad runs you have, with bad luck and tire wear, just bad luck really. Man, it just makes it hard. But it's rewarding when you can, bring home some wins.
That's right. Comp Cam Super Dirt Series, kind of touch on that a little bit, John. That a lot of damn good drivers in that series, man. You guys kind of travel the highways and byways right there, and there's some of the best right there in that late model division.
Yeah, I mean, around our area, the late model, we don't have that many series, so the Comp Cam's a super great series. We've run that thing on and off for many years, and it's kind of pulled, like you'll see like traveling touring guys run a lot of these races, because the circle is so small on where we can race in our area that there's none of those races that you just sneak in there and grab one. It seems like there's real good competition at every race.
Mm-hmm.
So, John, talk about the status or the state of late model racing. Obviously, the Super Dirt Series has a really good formula, but overall, has it become, unless you're running like Lucas Oil or something like that, is it too expensive to kind of have as like a weekly class at a normal weekly racetrack?
Man, it's made it tough. Like you said, the expense has drove a lot of guys out of the late model division, and they've picked up racing B mods or modifieds or just other forms of racing. And that's what's made the competition even tougher, because the way I look at it, for what it takes a guy or a team to compete in this level of racing, like when you roll through the gate, like you're not going to have a guy there on a slower budget to compete. So like all these guys seem to be like, when you roll through the gate, like, I mean, you're dealing with a lot of high dollar teams, it seems like these days.
Yeah, absolutely. John, we were just having the discussion here because Bobby and I, we're south. I'm north of Austin, and he is south of Austin. So we kind of opposite sides of the river right there. You're up way up north. I've always been an advocate for a Texas late model series, because I know that there are a couple up there. There's one down here, but it's not consistent. Do you think snowball chance in hell that would work with the size of this damn state?
Man, I would sure like to see it something closer to our house, without having to travel near as far. I know the crate late model, I would like to see that kind of took off a little bit in Texas and then kind of faded a little bit, and they brought it back the last year or so a little bit. But the crate late model deal is definitely built more around the weekly racer, with the crate engine and stuff like that. So I really would like to see something come back and really try to put more late model racing in Texas.
Yes, sir.
So where is your home base at? How far away do you normally have to travel to get to each race?
We're from Texarkana, Texas, so like most of our races, and we have a few of them around the house, but probably the farthest the comp series is from us is 7 hours, I would say.
Shit!
Ooh, wow,
damn, man, that's a haul. That is a haul. So for you, I guess you're off this week. You're testing that right there, but you're off. I think next week USMTS. Is that what's next for you? Kind of thoughts on that one?
Yeah, we've got that USMTS race at Boot Hill Speedway in Greenwood, Louisiana, and then that will, I say end our year. That'll be our last race on the schedule until the Dome, and then we're kind of going to look at these schedules to start the year next year and see what direction we're going to go as far as what we're going to follow. I mean, we have a dirt modified and a dirt late model, so kind of gives us a little bit of option of where we can run. But, and kind of look at the cards and see how they lay out, and what's the best for our team.
Yes, sir.
That stole my thunder. I was going to ask what was next for 2025, but so let's talk about the Dome real quick before we cut you loose. How crazy is that race? Like we seen it, watch it on Flow Racing and see how many heat races they got to run and how many classes they're running. Just from the racer's perspective, how crazy is racing at the Dome for that week?
Last year was the first year I competed in it, and we almost got in the show there. We got took out on the last lap in one of the qualifiers, but in a transfer position. But man, it's electric. I mean, it is a lot of fans in that build. I say a small building. I mean, there's a lot of people there, a lot of cars. Man, it's grown to be a big race. It started off a big race, and it still is. And I'm glad we get to go back this year. Like I say, I'm driving for one of my customers, Keith Lawson Motorsports, and we're going to carry his car and see how we can come out.
That's right. All right, my man. Before we cut you loose, talk about your business. You've mentioned customer a couple of different times. Tell folks how to get a hold of you. We want to push.
Yeah, I own Team 5 Enterprise. We're based out of Texarkana, Texas. Pretty much, I sell race car, circle track parts, and race for a living. So, man, it's a full-time job trying to keep all this stuff going. But I have a lot of great customers and new guys coming aboard every day. And yeah, if anybody's looking for any circle track or drag race parts, we can fix them up. 903-277-8873, or they can catch us on our website, johnmitchellracing.com.
Look at that. Ready to go, man. Perfect. Well done, my friend. All right, man. You guys have a good test. Go get them. Go get them next week, man. We'll be following along. Let's do this again soon.
We appreciate you, and we're going to get back and make some laps.
All right, my brother. Y'all have a good time.
Thanks.
All right, man. There he goes. See that? It can happen. We could see. I think if you could get a crate racing USA kind of thing happening here, that it would work. I mean, again, it's all easy to me, but I think that's the way to go.
I mean, in theory, what happens is you have the Northern Series, the Southern Series, and a couple of combined races. You have 4 or 5 combined races where you do two big combined races up north. You do 2 big combined races up south, and then find a track in the middle and have one hell of a big show. And determine a 5-race champion for the crate late model. But I don't know. It is easier to make ideas with other people's money.
Yeah.
I've been doing that a lot here lately. So, it is what it is, right? So we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah. And that was the thing, because I know that there was some discussion at one point with Adam Stewart, Crate Racing USA, about possibly trying to get all of that done. And I think it, like John mentioned right there, I think it was one of those things where the ideas kind of started, then they kind of fizzled out. And I think a lot of that was probably on participation, and understandably, because like John said, it and I think our recurring theme tonight is because, like he's talking about there, where a crate project would be a hell of a lot easier, kind of based like what Cody was talking about. I mean, almost word for word there, right there, how that helps all of that, and that makes perfect sense. But man, I just really think that that's something that would be a pretty cool thing. I think that you could take that thing around, and try to do a one-day show. I mean, that's the other part about it is, but that's where we get back to travel, because we can say it'd be a one-day show. Let's just throw places out. Let's say Corpus, and if you have guys that are coming from DFW, I mean, it needs to be a 2-day show, and vice versa. If you flip it around and you're going to have a show in DFW, if you got a Cody Leonard, I mean, hell, that dude travels everywhere, so I guess they're used to it. But you can't do it in a day. That's kind of the jacked up part.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's why a lot of guys, and they say it's cheap. Well, it's cheaper in air quotes to run 2 races in a weekend than one, right? More cost effective. You got to pay for the double races and 2 sets of tires, but you ain't got to pay for the transportation to get down to 2 races.
Yeah,
because you're already there. So there's an advantage to that too.
Yeah. Got a text from Augie. Customers in the building.
No worries. We totally get it.
That's hey man, I'm not gonna, you're doing this for free. Go make money. You're not, this is not going to, I mean, we're going to get to talk to you. That's really cool for us, but it's not going to help you on that financial side. Once again here, Travis, with HMP, the intermission on the track, every race again.
Pluses and minuses that it gets awful hot in the summertime to have all them people on that asphalt.
Well, and the other part about it is, I mean, I know a lot of folks really enjoy that, and again, it's great, for the spectator part, for them to get out on the track and get autographs and all that. But I think you and I know better than most, trying to get all that done, and even worse, trying to clear it out. That
people don't like to listen for whatever reason. They don't want to leave.
Yeah, I
They'll
really
complain when the show runs late, but they won't get their ass off the racetrack when we tell them it's time to go racing.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think it's a great thing, and I know that it's worked out really, really well. But I don't know. It takes a lot of time. I mean, it takes a lot of time, and I'm very much to where I do like things that when things kind of stop, and that's more during the racing program when you have a yellow flag, and then this is asphalt. When you have a yellow flag and there's like a car sitting over there and there's oil everywhere and there's no safety moving that way, it's like, okay, these are minutes that are just starting to, and you can feel it. I mean, it's a time suck when that stuff starts to where it's like, all right, here we go. And kind of the equivalent, I guess, for dirt fans is like when you have something that's going on and you have a yellow flag and they can't get the damn lineup straight and everybody's going around in circles and there's really nothing happening. It's like, okay, you feel the energy just kind of go in the air.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense, especially for Martin. Makes our job harder.
Yeah, and that's the thing. But yeah, a few here and there, Travis. I'm not shitting on your idea. I mean, I think it's great. I mean, I think it's really great. But this is where I go back to. The kids do love it. Yes, absolutely. But I think the other part about it is, was it here the other day, or where was I having the conversation where people don't want to go to the pits anymore when it's over?
We've had it here a couple of times.
Yeah, because that. Well, Sean Paul, I think, is who we were talking to last week. And it was like, because I do remember that as a kid, it's like, okay, it's over. I can't wait for it to get done because I want to go smell the cars. I want to go, listen to the conversations that are being had. I want to hear those guys cuss. I mean, that's gone. I mean, it's not a big, that was a highlight of my night. It's like, man, I can't wait for the shit to be over because I want to go to the pits and, maybe get a pit pass, or I had a Slick Yeoman pit pass autographed. Slick Yeoman gave me a tire one time. Slick Yeoman's did. So like, yeah, Dad's
you
like,
didn't save it. You still you don't have it locked away somewhere.
It's at Martin's house. It's at Martin's house in his barn.
You never get rid of anything, so
I don't get rid of shit. It's still sitting over there somewhere. It's probably as hard as the Towel City retreads used to be. One other one here that I do want to touch on, and then we'll get you folks out of here. And this was back to what Cody was talking about. Shannon Jackson replying to Cody Brusso. I totally agree with the statement. None of us had the equipment they couldn't do. Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. And that was kind of the bad part about that, is where the intent of that class was to remember when the Outlaws first started, where it was like, what we're hoping happens, what the intent of this is we want to get all the 10-year-old chassis that are sitting out wherever, that have kind of been put out to pasture, that are obsolete. We want to give them a place to race. Remember that? That was always heard. I go to Pensacola and it's like that. That's what the Outlaws are for, to give those cars a place to race. And it's evolved to where in the Outlaws, I guess probably a good thing Augie's not on, but that's why with the Outlaws, it's like, yeah, those obsolete ones, good luck. Because that's just kind of the way it's all morphed itself.
Well, the evolution, right? That's why the dinosaurs aren't with us no more.
That's right. Again, this weekend coming up, you've got the World Crown 300 happening at Cordele. They haven't run that race since 2014, the last time that race was run. Of course, not at Cordele, but the last winner of that one, another friend of the show, Casey Roderick. So the reincarnation there at Cordele. And we also, of the World Crown 300, also want to pass on thoughts there in the Florida area. Man, saw the other day we lost a great legend. We lost a great Bobby Gill. And that was a guy that, damn, that's a short track racer right there, old Bobby Gill.
Oh, yeah, one of the original old school badass racers right there.
Absolutely. Also want to give a big revved up congratulations to our man Bubba Pollard, as the man, the GOAT of short track racing, will head to Martinsville. I saw him getting fit for his seat today. So Bubba Pollard back on the short tracks right there. Man, if that dude won, if that dude could win that race, who's that for? Sam Hunt? Is that who he's driving?
Sam Hunt, yeah. Toyota.
Mm-hmm. If that dude, hypothetical. I mean, if that dude won Martinsville, that might help that bridge that we talk about between NASCAR and short track racing.
Might bring it back a little bit.
I mean, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. You never know. You never know. And of course, like we said, the All-American 400 will be next Sunday, November the 3rd. We'll preview that coming up on Monday. Also on Monday, and again, the All-American 400 at Nashville. That All-American might be a good day to talk to Donnie Wilson. That kind of has been our go-to there for the All-American, but we'll get all that figured out. Again, Monty Chamberlain is going to join us next Monday. We'll get a much more in-depth preview of Texana. Bobby knows a lot. He's just not going to tell us yet.
Can't reveal all the secrets yet.
That's the thing. It's like I get on here and shit just starts coming out. And Bobby's got the gun in the holster right there. He's not going to say anything. He's a hell of a lot better at that than I am. So anyway, we'll get some of the details on that next Monday. And that'll be Monday 6:30. Monday is always at 6:30. If it's Thursday, these are kind of more 6 o'clock, it seems like. Rest of the week for you, my man. What's going down?
Actually going to be I got to finally put the Halloween decorations out, which is really surprising since you know how much I love Halloween. I hadn't put the decorations out yet. Got an away game for UTSA, so I might actually get some stuff done on Saturday morning before the game at Tulsa. So we'll get a chance to kind of hang out around the house, catch up on a few things, and then just kind of racing season. Kind of get an off weekend from the races, get a kind of a lack of a better term off weekend for football being an away game because you don't have to go and tailgate early and all that good shit. So probably sit down and watch the Vandy game a little bit to see what happens on that deal. And I don't know. Looking forward to a good productive weekend. Miami should be good for the Cup race. That ought to be a lot of fun. Doubleheader on Saturday with the trucks and the Xfinity Series there at Homestead. So lots of options for TV watching. I just put a TV in the garage, so that helps out a whole lot. So
there you go. Absolutely. I'll be heading over to the South Texas Race Ranch. One of the last ones for me this year, near as I can tell. There's that one. I've got the November South Texas Race Ranch. I'm not going to be able to make the Outlaw 34. I've got a college graduation. The second one graduates. So that will be a very busy weekend as well, so probably not going to make I'm not going to make the Outlaw 34. And there's a Houston November 9th, I think, that's scheduled in, and then that'll wrap up my season, and for all intents and purposes going to wrap up a lot of full-time announcing. So really looking forward to getting this done. Miss Karen, I think that what Travis was talking about right here, and of course for those of you that don't know Karen, that is the mom of the main man over there, Isaiah. That does, I mean, that gets extremely hard, and it is. I mean, the hurting of the people in and out. The in is really easy. The out is not.
It's the out that's the problem.
Not quite the same. Really good program. Great conversation that we had there with Cody Brusso and, of course, John Mitchell as he's out. I liked having the sound of the race cars in the back. That's always good.
Yeah, always good. And you're like, damn, we got to let him go because he's here in the cars and ready to roll.
I know, that poor dude. When I message him, he's like, I'm going to be testing, but I think I can make the time. Augie says we'll figure that out again. So maybe we'll get him closer to Snowball and figure out what his plans are going to be as well. All right, you guys, thank you all for checking in. Be sure and like and subscribe to our YouTube page because we really want that to grow. Not threatening, but at some point maybe to get away from Facebook. And that's because I think, Bobby, as we know, Facebook kind of hard sometimes.
Very limiting.
Very limiting.
Handcuffs are usually on almost every Facebook show.
They are, and they have ways of kind of pulling you back on your viewership. I mean, the feeds just won't pop up. I mean, I take that back. The feeds will pop up, kind of what Cody was talking about and what John was talking about. If you throw a lot of money at it, you will get in front of a lot of people, and it's just not really what we need to do because the viewership is great. So I don't think we really need to be doing that. All right, Bobby, hope you have a great week, my man, and a great weekend. We will do it again next Monday. Monty Chamberlain and more. It is #Real Race Talk right here from Texas. It is the Revved Up Sports Show. We will see you on the next one.